Okay, that sounds good. Why don't you start us off?
How you doing, everybody? This is Dennis Michelson. Welcome to the Matchup Lab here on the Sports Affiliation. Professor John Bush, Dennis Michelson, back for another edition. It's week 3, Professor. Ep-
Episode 3. Woo woo.
Episode 3. We are so excited as being part of the TSA group over here with our Matchup Lab.
Yeah, they're a rough crew there. I think I saw a few in the post office there on some sheets, wanteds there. Some of them are troublemakers. We got to watch them. That Greg Kellogg, he seems happy, but I don't know. He's a little I don't know what he does. He might be the master criminal here in this whole thing. We
Just
love
never
Greg
know.
to death. Yeah, we do. But anyway, there's some interesting folks there, and we love hanging with them. And so this week, because we're trying to be tight, folks, versus our usual pontification. Let me share my metrics, and let's
Ooh, and
see.
breaking news.
Uh-oh.
This is unexpected.
Uh-oh.
Tucker Kraft is expected to play tomorrow versus
Ooh.
Cleveland. That muddies the waters on decisions at tight end
When
position.
they say plays at 100%, he's all good to go, or I hate to say the word decoy, but
Yes.
yeah,
I would be
or is
very,
he just in the red zone? They trot him out here to be just to stand up there and catch.
man,
I'd
I'd
be
be
curious.
very, to me, it makes the decision making for this
Oh,
week
it's
even
tough.
tougher.
I'd already planned on him being out, and
Yes.
I've got to think of some of my waiver because I think
Mhm.
I was gathering another tight end. I was going to have three on the Tucker Craft teams. I got three counting Kittle on the Kittle teams now. Yeah, I got to redo that. So that's why I'm glad we run our waiver later there.
Yeah, and we
Let's
might, you still might need that extra
Yeah, I
tight
don't
end
know.
though in that
Dennis, don't trick
situation.
me like that.
It'll be a team by team decision, but first let's look at the power rankings before we get to those squirrels and those wonderful huskies.
Yeah, so again, power rankings is a way to get the landscape of the team. It's not every position is high or low. It is a kind of a combination where I stir them all together. And so, how strong or spicy is the broth, or how weak is it? So the spicy teams would be Minnesota this week. They're number one. They got the most spice. The Scoville units are very high there, Dennis. I don't know if you knew there was a measurement of heat in peppers. It's called a
Yes.
guy named Scoville,
Yep.
and the Scoville unit, we're talking millions of units. That means it's so damn hot you could die, right? I had something that I bought for almost a joke. I don't know if I told you this. It was you had to wear it with gloves to handle it. It was called the Final Solution. It was 5 million
Oh.
Scoville. It was like
Oh.
crystallized capsaicin.
Ooh.
I mean, Dennis, it could literally put you in the hospital. And they said, warning, wear gloves. And you took a toothpick, you dipped the edge of the toothpick on one of the crystals, and you put it in your gallon of gumbo. And that was it. It was called the Final Solution, Dennis.
Ooh.
So that was a hell of a thing there. And I don't know why I was stupid enough to buy something like that. Sometimes and I was a young man, hey, I'm going to have this. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can't put myself in the hospital. Anyway, no, I don't do the hot chip challenge anymore because I know I'm a biologist. I'm not no fool. And, I'm going to let I'll watch you if you put it on TikTok. If you want to spray your mouth with the final solution, I'll watch as you wither in pain and pretty much go into a seizure. I mean, I admit, I would be the guy at the Coliseum watching the lions eat everybody. I mean, I'm bad, Dennis. I like a circus, as long as I'm not part of it, Dennis. Okay, speaking of circuses, the power rankings look at the team landscape, and it gives us an idea of, you know, what this team can be overall. And the extremes get my attention more than the mids, right? So I'm not, if teams are kind of out of the extreme, I'm probably not going to go crazy. You do not need to religiously follow uh, these. It's just, this is showing you the extreme. So Dallas is an extreme. That may be a surprise. Atlanta, maybe not. Tampa Bay, Indianapolis. Detroit is the only one. It's the last of the extremes. But they're not playing at home. And they're playing what, Baltimore?
Oh, yeah. Who's
And
right
notice
behind them?
Baltimore is right there with them. So even though it implies Detroit has an advantage, I'm a little worried that the home away split. I don't think we've got to the bottom or the top of home away splits with Detroit, and that game. And I know we'll talk about that game. On the other hand, Tennessee, of course, Miami really did well. They surprised people. Were surprised, Dennis. They were. I mean, Buffalo was one of the high in Miami, and I picked Buffalo in the pick 'em and played accordingly. You know, who I should play, but they they surprise. So even surprise, teams can surprise, but Carolina, New Orleans, the Jets, and Cleveland are the worst of the week as far as power rankings. But I think Dennis will explain his strategy, which we need to call it something, Dennis, instead of just, I don't know, we need a snappy name. We're supposed to be, snappy in all these. The TSA, they get cranky at us. They have the ruler and they pop our wrist if we don't bring in lots of people every week to listen to us. So Greg hits us in our little pinkies with his ruler at the expo. Thank you, sir. May I have another? We get punished. And Greg smiles, but he's strict. So anyway, we have to please our masters. And uh, what do you think, Dennis? What's your strategy on power rankings?
So the teams in the green, first of all, love a big matchup advantage. So if I got a team in the green versus a team in the red, that's an easy pick for me that week, even if it's double digit advantage. If that green team is at home versus a red team on the road, uh, you can't make the spread big enough for me to hate it. As far as fantasy football, if it's a team in the green, I am looking for excuses not to play their players. So I want as many of those green players on my lineup that weekend as possible. So for Minnesota, it's obviously Jefferson. I'd even be desperate enough at quarterback to play Carson Wentz this week. But the green teams, I'm happy. In the red zone teams, I'm willing to play one player from that team. So Tennessee, maybe either Pollard or Ridley or Yanomar, but not playing two or more if I can avoid it, and certainly not playing three from the same red team ever on my fantasy football team if I can help it. So that's how I use power rankings. You just want to play into the extremes, and whether that means benching guys or starting guys that you'd normally have on the bench. That's how I lean into this. So with Tampa Bay, I'm probably playing some Kate Otten this week
Yes,
with a
he is one that I'm looking to play a little bit. San Francisco's another one, but Otten is, one of my preferred streamers in my Kittle IR teams. Yeah,
And
because I couldn't
the
get anybody else that
no,
seems to have an advantage this week. And when
no,
I
and
say advantage, I'll take 10 points, Dennis.
oh
Five
yeah,
catches, 50 yards, and in a tight end premium, that gets me 12, right?
yep,
12 and a half. Hey,
yeah,
I will run up and down,
if
even four catches
yeah,
would,
if I
get me
yep,
close to 10.
if I can get 8 points or more with a guy I'm plugging in as a desperate play at tight end, I am thrilled.
Yeah.
Like, just don't lose me a big advantage to the opposing team's tight end. That's all I care about. And
Yep.
I think Otten could be a guy to lean into this week. So let's take a look at the landscape of where some of these games are,
Well,
ranging all
Baltimore
the way.
Detroit
Woof,
is expected to be the shootout, but notice Baltimore and Detroit, even though Detroit is ahead of Baltimore.
wow.
So this is a weird situation. A touchdown difference, 51. Is that who we want to talk about? I know we've already we
Well,
we did the
let's
Buffalo Miami. Are you want to do Chicago Dallas?
no, let's go to the squirrels first. Let's
Oh,
get the
squirrels. Okay.
nasty, slimy,
Seattle,
you
New
know,
Orleans.
greasy ones out of the way. Yes, let's go New Orleans and Seattle, the squirreliest of the squirrels.
7.5 points.
Ugh.
That's my sad team. New Orleans. Love you so, but we're always rebuilding, Dennis.
Hey,
Uh,
Spencer Rattler's looking like a quarterback, though.
he is, and I'm too hopeful that they're trying to trick me, Dennis. They're trying to make me imagine good things. 28-13. Saints will score one touchdown according to Vegas. 41 could be worse than that. I don't think Seattle needs 28. But I hope New Orleans has been like they were the last two. They've been feisty. So maybe Seattle does need 28. And if that's the case, that's an over situation. New Orleans, it's below average, nothing that scares me. They're streamable defense. Seattle is streamable defense as well. So both of those were in my mix to stream this week. Kenneth Walker should have an advantage for Seattle at home. Play him all day. It looks like Charbonnet is, I think, out or doubtful.
Yep.
So play him all day. Play as many as you can in your teams here. I'm playing Walker everywhere I got him. Wide receivers, it's all good. Tight ends, there you go. Maybe in a stream situation. Kicker. So I'm probably playing Olave. I'm not sure Rashid, I had to play last week, and that was good. I was pleased, Dennis. I had to play him in a few places, and I wasn't disappointed. So that New Orleans has declined in their efficiency first 2 weeks, 13. Seattle has really declined, 30.
Wow.
Yeah, that's bad. New Orleans away, plus 10 rushing, plus 3 passing. So New Orleans tended, even though they were more efficient at home, they would pass and rush more to make up for their least efficient away games last year. So I think Kamara has a shot at, and I'm playing him, and probably Olave. Probably not playing Spencer unless I have nobody else. Right. If I got Jaden Daniels and I had Rattler as my second and I couldn't pick up anybody, I would be trying to pick up somebody. But if I couldn't, then, it is what it is. Seattle at home loves to pass, rush less, and it's exactly opposite. The DAPs say rush more, manage the game, and don't pass as much. So, not sure if that figures on how deep you go here, but I'm not probably going too deep for New Orleans and maybe even Seattle. I think I'll play Walker And Seattle, I've got JSN is 81, Dennis. That's close to a WR12. And Cup, maybe. I've got him high uncertainty, but if you need a wide receiver 3-4 type and you don't have anybody else, he could be okay. Probably not playing the tight end. Walker is this was before Charbonnet, so that would probably be closer to an 80 versus the 66. So he has an opportunity to be in the top 12 this week. Probably a high end RB2 is more like. Don't like Darnold. Love the D. And so for that, New Orleans got to play Kamara, but he's always every week because of New Orleans. Of course, Rattler's a zero. Dennis is
Oof.
Kamara's always uncertain. You got a high floor
Yes.
ceiling. You don't know
Yep.
what you get. Jawan Johnson is streamable, folks. If you got Kittle or somebody else, Olave is always risky, and I'll probably play him in some of my deep flexes. But that's how I'm looking at this game. What say you, Dennis?
Yeah, 7.5 is a big ask in this game. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I pick Seattle to win it. So I'm not making a bet on that line. I do like the over in this. Seattle has given up 17 points each of the first 2 weeks, and I think that New Orleans will find a way to keep this one close. And I think Seattle, their offense is a little down versus where I'd like to be seeing it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this more like a 24 to 18-ish game. So real tight on the spread. So I would not play the spread, but I do like the over in this one. Let's look at another one of the squirrels, an interesting one with some decisions to make when it comes to players in this game. Let's look at Green Bay and Cleveland.
Green Bay and Cleveland here. Here we go. It's 29-13. Vegas thanks 8 points, so they get one touchdown. That's that. Tillman catches this touchdown. Okay. 42. Green Bay probably doesn't need 29. Not sure the spread is changed much. I don't. Let's see. What is the Green Bay? I'm looking. It's 7.5. Is this? Yeah, 41. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So 7.5, Dennis. And what do they say? 8. Yeah. So it hasn't changed at all. 41. It's still low. So look at Cleveland. Other than Njoku, who you might put as a secret parlay with Dwan Johnson, there you go. Your big underdog tight end plays, maybe not touchdowns. Hard to get a touchdown, but maybe 4 or 5 catches or something. I don't know if you can do a parlay like that. Your tight end parlay. Uh, but the rest of them, Dennis and Judkins, has an opportunity, but I don't know. I have some Simpson shares. I don't. You worried me when you say I probably shouldn't play him. I hadn't decided yet. Green Bay played the wide receivers. Of course, you got to pick the ones. I did pick up some Wicks this week, Dennis, as a
Yep.
secret play, but the running backs are an issue, Dennis, with the tough. Cleveland plays to running tough, but you want to stream the defense for Green Bay. They were one of my top 1 or 2 for the
Oh, yeah.
week to play. Uh, Passing should be Love should get an advantage even in an away game. Cleveland's at home. Cleveland has actually improved because they were the bottom. They were below zero, so they've improved a little. Uh, 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 and Green Bay has gone down 8, so really hasn't changed much. Cleveland at home, they love to pass. They don't love to run, and it looks like the exact opposite. The Daps would say, lean into your running and worry about your passing. Tillman's going to catch his, I guess. Green Bay away, it's they rush and pass less. Interesting, Dennis, but they do better away games. Isn't that interesting? 5%
That is
better,
very interesting.
but they rush. So looks like they were relying on their defense, and so they didn't need to do anything. So I'm not sure how their their defense. I mean, this says extra easy, so I'm assuming the same thing's happening. So maybe Love doesn't get as many points as maybe Vegas is thinking. I'm probably playing Love in a few places if I don't have anybody better, but I'm probably someplace I got Dak and Love. I'm probably flipping. I flipped to Love last week, probably back to Dak this week.
Yeah, I would be leaning into a higher scoring game to start my quarterback any given week. And this one, oh man, 7.5, 8 points on the spread for Green Bay. It Yes, they should cover that, but it could be ugly. This could be an ugly win for Green Bay. Cleveland has played teams somewhat tough for parts of the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I like the under in this game. That's my favorite bet. As far as the players go in this one, boy, I don't know who to start other than maybe the tight end
Oh, I
for
forgot
Cleveland.
Njoku
Maybe
has
maybe Fannin,
Fanning,
or
and so I got them both cutting each other down. That's
and
not good.
that's exactly
Damn.
accurate. That's
Yeah.
exactly accurate. As far as the wide receivers go, I don't like Judy, and I'll be spotting Tillman in a few
Just
leagues.
because you're hoping for the touchdown.
Yes, exactly. And you're open for some junk time scoring, but
Yeah.
I worry about a quarterback with a lack
Yeah.
of mobility against the Packers
Yeah.
rush because they're going to feast on Flacco
Well,
is
you
my
see my
concern.
numbers here, Dennis. They really
Oh
get,
yeah.
but Love is 40, 45. Jacobs, and he's healthy again, right?
He was off the questionable list, so he's definitely playing.
Well, and Brooks, I'm taking for $1 just in case something happens in warmups.
Yeah, and on the wide receiver
And
side,
Kraft is playing.
Kraft is supposed to play, but if will he be at full song? I don't think so.
Folks,
I would be.
if you're got Kraft and you don't have anybody else, pick up Musgrave and hope that he'll get you 3 catches. Just, I would find somebody else other than Musgrave. But if you
Yeah,
can't, just you've been warned. Dobbs seems best, and then Golden, we're just ready for him to break across all these guys. I don't know if this is the week to do it against Cleveland. I think I'm benching Golden in a few places I have him, and I might actually play Dobbs or Wicks in some deep flexes.
yeah, I think that's a good strategy for this one, indeed.
Okay.
All right, let's look at a couple of the big Husky games. These are the big,
Chicago,
beautiful
Dallas.
games. Dallas and Chicago. Let's look at
Is
that one
is
first.
is Chicago back to not being the favorite? Because they were the favorite. Did you notice that later in the earlier in the
Yes,
and they are
yes. Early in
they
the week.
flipped. They flipped, folks.
That that's correct. That
It's
is
minus
correct.
one
It's basically a
Dallas.
pick 'em. Yep.
Yes. Okay. But early in the week they had Chicago. It's same 50 over under, 1 point spread, but you can flip Dallas and Chicago here. So maybe I'll do that before I'll change that. So that is game 14. Okay. So and doesn't mean those numbers are just the ones that I come up with at the site. It's don't pay attention. Those numbers don't mean anything. Dallas and Chicago. So Chicago is not the favorite. Dallas is the favorite, 150. Chicago should be able to rush with Swift. He was a little banged up. Dennis, there's a quarterback and a wide receiver opportunity. I would not play the tight end. You could stream both these, not the best, but not the worst. The wide receivers, I like Adunze at 72. That's a solid WR2. And
Oh,
DJ
yeah.
Moore is a 3 that could maybe get into a 2. Loveland, I'm passing Dennis, and Swift probably playing, but would love to. And if he is injured, then maybe McGonaghy or Monengai. I don't know how you say it. Caleb Williams, 58. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about. I think I'll play Swift. I'm not sure I'll play Nangai. I'm not sure I'll play, and I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but I'm not sure about that. Dallas, I'm the favorite. I love Aubrey, of course. Dak, I'm probably playing, but I will tell you this, folks. I got him as high floor ceiling. It could be a sweet sucker or a sour sucker right there. Don't be the sucker, but there you go. That's why I've got him in love. Dennis, I don't know. I mean, the numbers say go Prescott, but I don't know. But you got to love Lamb. That's probably why I lean versus the Green Bay situation.
Yep.
And I like Pickens has done pretty good. Uh, Javonte Williams, can you set him these days?
You can't. You
And
cannot
he's
sit
a
him. It's
WR2.
crazy.
Who would have thought we could get a RB2 so late? I First week I didn't play enough of him, probably a third of my shares. Last week I played him in almost every one. This week probably the same deal. Ferguson could do something for you. Probably got to play him because I probably took him. So I'm more optimistic about Dallas than Chicago.
And I think the one thing I'm optimistic about is this is probably going to be an over. There is the threat of some rain shower activity for this game, and maybe enough wind that it could add a little bit of uncertainty to that. But right now, I'm willing to take my chances on that and that it just won't be as big of an over as it could have been. But I'll take the over, and I'm going to take the Bears to win at home. I think it's going to be a close game, though. That is for certain. On the Chicago side, boy, I'm worried about the Swift injury, even if he plays. Otherwise, I might put a little bit of Moninjay, or however you pronounce his last name, into the lineup. Love Adunze. I'll play some DJ Moore this week as well. I'm forced to put Caleb Williams in a couple of super flex leagues where I lost one of my primary quarterbacks, but I'm certainly not thrilled about that. I do think that there's going to be some opportunities if for turnovers in this game from both teams. On the Dallas side of things, you're playing your Dak shares, you're playing Javante, you're playing CeeDee Lamb, you're playing Ferguson. They're in that green with the power ratings for a reason, folks. But I'm going to take Chicago to pull off this mildest of upsets at home and keep people from burning down the Soldier Field. Detroit and Baltimore, the last game we're going to talk about here this week
And let's
on the
see. Just
Matchup Lab.
be aware they're back to back, so really there's no difference in the power rankings
No,
there. So I just wanted to bring that out. There's 16. So that the last game of the week?
it
That,
is.
wow.
It's a beautiful Monday night game.
Okay. So Baltimore 31, Vegas says touchdown difference -651. So they don't think it's as close as I was thinking it might be. So I'm picking Baltimore in my pick 'em, but you know, I just get Baltimore gives me fits. They gave me fits last year in betting them, uh, you know, but we had this pick 'em, and that's I'm picking Baltimore, Dennis. I'm doing that. Not doing too bad this year in the pick
You're
'em.
leading the pack.
Yeah, I don't want to say that too loud. Reverse the mojo there. But anyway, Baltimore looks like passing all day. Believe it or not, usually it's this. It just says forget Andrews, folks. You and I need to talk about Andrews, but this says don't play Andrews. How about that? Play the other ones. I think Baltimore Flowers. Hopkins is that may be a little low,
He's getting
folk.
some play. Yeah.
Yeah, and but Flowers, Andrews, it's below 50. Be cautious. Love Henry. I don't know what he did last week. Maybe they didn't need him. Love their kicker. Dennis spot starting their kicker. People have been leaving him on the waiver wire. I've been picking him up for $1 in a few
He's
places.
he's a rookie, but they always score a lot of points with their
Yeah,
kicker.
so just to let y'all know, if he's out there and you've got a ho hum
Yes.
kicker, he's worth $1 to me. I'm picking him up in 3 or 4 leagues. We'll see what happens
I
here.
drafted a bunch of Tyler Loop
Yeah,
because he was a Baltimore scores a lot of points with their kickers.
yeah,
So I leaned into that.
yeah. Detroit, it looks like could be passing. Thunder or Sonic and Knuckles are going to have to earn their biscuit, but it's not tough, but it's below average. Laporta has an opportunity. I would not play any of the D's. Be cautious on the kickers, even though I like Loop. Uh, See, Dennis, this says Detroit has an opportunity to keep up with Baltimore by the passing. Baltimore's D is open for the passing situation. Baltimore has highly one of the best teams in improvement in the first 2 weeks, 51. Detroit, because I'm looking at both weeks, not just last week, they did such a poor first week. It was sucky. And they've declined. Baltimore at home loves to rush, pass less, and it's exactly opposite with the DAPS. Again, I haven't done this study. I got to get around to this, but it's Henry. How can you set Henry? I can't.
You
I
can't.
won't.
No.
But he may not get you 2 touchdowns. You be happy with one. So, uh, in Detroit, they've declined. They love their home base 14%, and away it's all about the rush. Has got them away from that versus the pass, and that's a little bit opposite. Not as dramatic as Baltimore, Dennis, but it's hard to match. I would not set the Sun God. Williams is my debate, and Andrews is my debate. So at some point, I do want to touch on that. Those two questions, Dennis, however you want to present your views.
Well, let's look at the players. Look at
Okay.
the player data first, and
Well, I've
we'll
got
attack
Gibbs
that.
at 83, and Montgomery's a surprise flex at a 3-4 type. Golf, I'm worried about at 47. That's not strong. Love. The data says Gibbs and Brown, don't play anybody else if you're conservative. If you're aggressive, maybe Laporta, maybe Montgomery, maybe, but that's being aggressive. But the confidence, I'm confident Gibbs and Brown, not Goff. That's what that says. For Baltimore, Andrew, same thing. 47. I'm not confident, and
No.
likely's not back. So I'm not sure I'm playing. I don't know if I've been burned. Love Flowers. He could be spiky high or a little bit lower. Got to play Henry. Love Lamar. Love the kicker.
Yeah, so let's look at the Detroit sheet first, and
Okay.
I'll tell you how I'm going to play this. First of all, I'm picking Detroit to get the upset on the road. It's a light wind night, is what is in the forecast. So Jared Goff, I think, is going to be more effective than he's been on the road in the past because he's not going to have a weather concern. So I like the over, and I like Detroit to pick out the upset. I'm playing both Gibbs and Montgomery this week, figuring that they'll get enough scoring chances with that high over under. I'll play some Goff. I'll look for other options. I would play Dak over Goff, for instance, but definitely got a shot at a good game from Goff again. You're playing Laporta if you drafted him, and you're playing the Sun God if you drafted him. And I think this could be a big week for him. I also look for Jameson Williams to be able to beat this Baltimore defense deep. That's been a vulnerability, is given up some big plays in the past. Baltimore not the shutdown defense that they used to be. On the Baltimore side of the ball, I honestly don't know what the hell to do with Mark Andrews. It's
Yeah.
hard to sit him, but in a couple of leagues, I'm going to play Brenton Strange ahead of Andrews. I had the Andrews Strange combination
Yeah.
in a lot of leagues this
Yet
year.
Andrews is the one that's strange this year.
Yes. And with this Baltimore defense, not it's very true. With
Yeah.
this Baltimore defense being weaker, it has opened the floodgates for scoring for Lamar Jackson. He has been, and that's why we picked him. We both picked
Oh
him in
yeah.
our in a lot
Surprisingly,
of more a lot
I've
more
got him
leagues
in
than
my
I expected. Yeah.
dynasty night out. You did too. We were they he was one of the elites that were dropping to the end. They grabbed Allen, Daniels, and let's see who was the third one. But Jackson was down, and I would have thought he would have gone second, and they were picking Daniels over him. And I think, what was it, third, fourth round? We were able to pick
Yep.
him up, and I'm like,
Yep.
what's going on here?
I
It was
I
crazy.
couldn't.
I was not even planning on grabbing him.
No, I figured we had both talked about our strategies. We thought a late quarterback
Yeah.
ad would be the
Probably
move.
Love with somebody
Yeah, and we both ended up
or
with Lamar
Golf with
Jackson, and,
somebody.
and I'm thrilled to
Yeah.
have Lamar Jackson this year. Zay Flowers is really impressed me. He
Boy,
is
hasn't
he's
he?
a
You
he's
think the
emerged.
defense has opened up his
Yes,
opportunities?
yes, because they know they got to score and they
Yep.
got to score a lot, and so that's been a big deal. Derrick Henry last week, throw it away. I know he's got a tough defensive matchup with that front seven for Detroit is probably going to be slowing him up a little bit. You're not going to be impressed with the yards per carry, but he'll find a way to get into the end zone. He will not have two bad games in a row, is my guess. I've been all over the Tyler Loop as a kicker, and I like Detroit's kicker too, Bates, although he's been a little bit like the entire team. He's had a little bit of a home away split to him, but I do like Detroit pulling off the upset. I think this is going to be a very entertaining game with lots and lots and lots of points scored. I
We
would
like
not be
that.
surprised. Would not be surprised if they're right on the Baltimore number, but the Detroit is closer to the low 30s. And
Wow.
I think this could be a 60-point or more game on Monday night. So it should be rather,
Excellent.
rather
Excellent.
interesting. So head on over to the scienceoffantasyfootball.com if you want to see more of this data from the professor. I
Yep.
got a couple of articles over there as
Yep.
well. And head on back here next week to the Sports Affiliation for another edition of the Matchup Lab.
Get to work, folks. Let's see here. Stop the share, Dennis. Okay, that was good. I think we're getting this matchup lab tighter than usual because we can
That was
go.
pretty tight. That was only
Yeah, for
about 40
us.
minutes. That was what,
Yeah, that's
35, 40
surprising.
minutes?
Yeah, what's wrong with us?
Phew,
Come on,
my
man. You've
God,
had a
we
lot of
actually did it.
coffee. I'm looking at your picture and you're just staring at me. You just stare at me the whole damn time and you got all your secret data. And I see Kansas City. I don't know how that worked, but I have gotten so
That
much
is so
mileage
damn
out of
funny.
that.
That is
How
so
Kansas
funny.
City is sitting there on your bulletin board.
Y-
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I love your library, by the way, all your
Oh,
scholarly
that's a good one,
works.
man. I got
Yeah,
a lot of
man.
those
And
books
your
sitting there.
football, I just love it. We need to doctor this picture and put your Kansas City shawl and your cap and your face guard, your
All I need
Andy
is a
Reid face guard there.
yeah, all I need is a little Chiefs logo on my pocket, and
Well,
that would be perfect.
when your wife puts you out in the front porch with your Kansas City shawl and you crab it to neighbors, you
Oh,
shut up, you kids.
oh, wait,
Kansas
wait,
City's the best.
wait
Get
until
out of my
you hear
yard.
me. I'm going to be crabbing Sunday night. I'm going to be like, okay, let's finish dinner. Let's get this done. We're having like, I don't know whose birthday it is, but
Yeah,
it's
you're
somebody's
having
birthday.
somebody's birthday. I'm gonna
We're
stop recording
Sun,
here.
yeah.